"Change!" yelled Nezha in a passion, and at once he had 3 heads and 6 arms, which made him look most ferocious. In his hands he held 6 weapons: a demon beheading sword, a demon hacking cutlass, a demon binding rope, a demon quelling pestle, an embroidered ball, and a fire wheel, and wielding all these he rushed straight at Sun Wukong. At the sight of him, Sun Wukong exclaimed with astonishment, "Well, my boy, you certainly know a trick or two, but just behave yourself and watch what I can do." Our dear great sage shouted "Change!" and he too had 3 heads and 6 arms. He shook his gold-banded cudgel, and it turned into 3 cudgels, which he gripped with 6 hands to ward off Nezha's blows. It was a great fight, and it made the earth shake and the mountains tremble. 6-armed Prince Nezha, heaven-born Monkey King, well-matched opponents, both in the same class. One sent down to the lower world on a mission, the other priding himself as a fighting bull. Fast moves the point of the demon beheading sword, and evil spirits fear the demon hacking cutlass. The demon binding rope flies like a dragon, while demon quelling pestle has the head of a wolf. The fire wheel flashes with lightning, and the embroidered ball shoots everywhere. The great sage's 3 as-you-will cudgels block and parry with consummate skill. Though many hard-fought rounds prove inconclusive, the prince refuses to call the battle off, making his 6 weapons multiply in number. He throws them in their millions at the Monkey King's head. But the Monkey King, fearless, roars with laughter as his iron clubs whirl and think for themselves. 1 becomes 1,000, 1,000 10. Their wild dance fills the sky as if with dragons. All the Demon Kings shut their gates in terror. Every goblin on the mountain finds some place to hide. Cloud black, the anger of the heavenly troops, whistling like the wind the gold-banded cudgels. On the one side, the blood-curdling war cries of the heavenly host. On the other, the spine-chilling banners of the monkey fiends. Both parties are equal in their fighting courage. Neither could be said to be the winner. Prince Nezha and Sun Wukong both used their divine powers to the full as they fought 30 rounds. When the 6 weapons of the prince turned into thousands and tens of thousands, so did Sun Wukong's gold-banded cudgel. The air was filled as if with drops of rain or shooting stars, and there was no way of telling who was winning. As Sun Wukong was deft of hand and quick of eye, he plucked one of the hairs from his body in the midst of the fray and shouted, "Change!" It changed into his own double to mislead Nezha, while his real self leapt around till he was behind Nezha and struck at his shoulder. Nezha was in the middle of performing a spell, when he heard the whistle of the cudgel through the air and twisted away as fast as he could. But he was unable to avoid the blow, and had to flee wounded. He brought his magic to an end, and put his 6 weapons away, reverted to his true appearance, and abandoned the field of battle in defeat. This had all been observed by the heavenly King Li, who was on the point of sending reinforcements when his son appeared before him and reported in fear and trembling, "Father, the protector of the horses is very powerful. My magic was outclassed and he's wounded me in the shoulder." The color drained from the face of the horror-struck heavenly king as he said, "If the creature has magic powers like that, how are we going to defeat him?" Outside the gates of the cave, the prince went on to report, "There's a banner on a pole that reads, 'Great Sage equaling Heaven.' He bragged that if the Jade Emperor gave him this title, he would call everything off. Otherwise, he said he would attack the Hall of Miraculous Mist." "In that case," said the heavenly king, "we'll disengage now, go back to heaven, and request that more heavenly troops be sent to capture this wretch. There's plenty of time." The prince, in pain and unable to go on fighting, went back to heaven with the heavenly king, and put in his request, but of that no more for the moment. Watch as the Monkey King returns to the mountain in triumph to receive the congratulations of the 72 kings of the monsters and his 6 sworn brothers. There was a great drinking and singing in the cave paradise. Sun Wukong said to his 6 sworn brothers, "As I've called myself the Great Sage equaling heaven, you can all call yourselves Great Sages too." "Honorable brother, you're right," roared the Bull Demon King. "I shall call myself the Great Sage matching heaven." "I'll be the Great Sage overturning the sea," said the Salamander Demon King. "I'll be the Great Sage throwing heaven into confusion," said the Rock Demon King. "I'll be the Great Sage who moves mountains," said the Camel Demon King. "I'll be the Great Sage who travels with the wind," said the Macaque King. "And I'll be the Great Sage who drives away gods," said the Lion King. The 7 great sages then did just that, just as they pleased, and gave themselves the titles they chose. And after enjoying themselves all day, they went home. Heavenly King Li and Prince Nezha led their forces straight to the Palace of Miraculous Mist, and made this request: "We, your subjects, took our forces down to the lower world, under your divine edict to subject the immortal fiend, Sun Wukong. But to our surprise, we found that his magical powers were too far-reaching for us to be able to defeat him. We therefore hope that your Imperial Majesty will send more troops to exterminate him." "How could a mere monkey goblin have such great powers that you actually need more troops?" asked the Jade Emperor. Prince Nezha then came forward and memorialized, "We beg your Majesty to spare us the deaths we deserve. That monkey fiend has an iron cudgel that he uses to defeat the mighty miracle god, and wounded me in the shoulder. He has set up a banner outside his entrance to his cave that reads, 'Great Sage equaling Heaven,' and he says that if you give him his office, he'll stop fighting and submit. Otherwise, he'll attack the Hall of Miraculous Mist." When the Jade Emperor heard this, he asked in horror, "How dare that monkey fiend talk so wildly? Send all the generals to execute him at once." As he spoke, the Great White Planet stepped forward from the ranks of officials. "That monkey fiend knows how to talk," he suggested, "but he has no idea about real power. If more soldiers were sent to fight him, they might not be able to overcome him at once, and their energies would be wasted. But if your Imperial Majesty were to show your great mercy, you could send down a pacificatory amnesty and let him be a great sage equaling heaven. It would only be an empty title, though is given to him, just an honorary appointment." "What do you mean by honorary appointment?" asked the Jade Emperor. "He would be called a great sage equaling heaven, but he would not be given any responsibility or paid any salary. He would be kept between heaven and earth, where his evil nature would be under control and he would be kept from wickedness. Thus heaven and earth can be at peace, while sea and sky enjoy tranquility." The Jade Emperor approved this suggestion and ordered that a new edict should be issued to the Great White Planet to deliver. The Great White Planet left once more through the southern gate of heaven, and went straight to have a look at the water curtain cave on the mountain of flowers and fruit. It was quite different from before. There was an awe-inspiring and spine-chilling atmosphere, and every kind of fiend was present. They were roaring and leaping around in their swords, spears, cutlasses, and staves. As soon as they saw the Great White Planet, they all went for him. "Will your commander please come forward?" said the planet. I would trouble you to inform your great sage that I am a heavenly envoy sent by the Jade Emperor, and I am carrying a divine edict with an invitation for him." The fiends rushed in to report. "There's an old man outside who says he's come from heaven with an edict of invitation for you." When Sun Wukong heard this, he said, "I'm glad he's come. I expect he's the Great White Planet who came before. Although I wasn't given a decent job last time I went to heaven, I did get up there and learn my way around. If it's him again, his intentions must be good." He told his commanders to put on a big display of banners and drums, and to turn on a guard of honor to welcome him. Then the great sage, wearing his helmet, his yellow robe over his armor, and his cloud walking shoes, hurried out of the cave at the head of his monkey host, bowed in greeting, and shouted in a loud voice, "Please come in, venerable planet. Forgive me for not being here to welcome you." The planet walked straight into the cave, stood facing the south, and said, "Great sage, when you left the imperial stables because you found the post too humble, the officials of the department naturally reported the matter to the Jade Emperor. The Jade Emperor decreed that all the officials have to work their way up from the bottom, and asked why you object to its being humble. After this, Heavenly King Li took Nezha down to the lower world to do battle with you. Your divine powers, great sage, were more than they expected, and they suffered defeat. On their return to heaven, they reported that you had set up a banner and wanted to be a great sage equaling heaven. All the generals wanted to punish you, but I, great sage, ran the risk of punishment by suggesting that the armies should not be called out, and that your majesty should be given a post instead. The Jade Emperor approved my memorial, and that is why I've come to invite you." "I am most grateful for this honor after the trouble I caused you earlier," replied Sun Wukong, "but I'm not sure whether there's such a title as Great Sage equaling Heaven in the upper world." "After obtaining imperial approval for this title," said the planet, "I came down bearing a decree. If anything goes wrong, I'll bear the responsibility." A highly delighted Sun Wukong tried his hardest to persuade the planet to stay to a banquet, but without success, so he went with him by propitious cloud to the southern gate of heaven. The heavenly generals and soldiers all greeted them with respectfully folded arms, and they went straight to the hall of miraculous mist. The great white planet did obeisance and said, "In obedience to the imperial edict, your subject has summoned Sun Wukong, the protector of the horses, and he is present." "Let Sun Wukong come forward," said the Jade Emperor. "We do now proclaim you Great Sage equaling Heaven. Your rank is now very high. Let there be no more mischief from you." The monkey simply chanted "Na-ah-ah" to express his thanks to the Emperor. The Jade Emperor then ordered the two officials in charge of public works, Zhang and Lu, to build a residence for the Great Sage equaling Heaven to the left of the peach orchard. In the residence there were to be two offices, a Tranquility Office and a Calm Divinity Office. Both these offices were to have immortal clerks and a senior and junior assistant. He then told the Star Lords of the Constellation 5 to escort Sun Wukong to his post, and in addition gave him 2 bottles of imperial wine and 10 golden flowers, and admonished him to settle down and keep out of mischief. The Monkey King accepted the order and went that same day with the Star Lords of the Constellation 5 to his residence, where he opened the bottles of wine and drained them dry with the help of all present. He then saw the star officials off and returned to his own palace. From then on he lived in happiness and content, and enjoyed the untrammeled pleasure in the palace, truly. His immortal name was forever inscribed in the register of eternal life, to be transmitted for 10,000 ages, free of the wheel of rebirth. If you don't know what happens next, listen to the explanation in the next installment.